before you started with us about 2 months ago, where were you in general with your science? So what was your grades like?
Yeah.
And then what made you decide to join the tutoring program?
So my back 2 months ago, my strongest science was probably biology, only
Mm-hmm,
because I enjoyed it more. So obviously more natural recall would come to me and things like
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm,
I struggled a lot with physics. I still do.
mm-hmm,
I'm struggling a lot with the like science aspect of it,
mm-hmm,
understanding exam questions and understanding it in general. And for
mm-hmm,
chemistry in particular, it was more or less knowing the like foundation things you need to know for chemistry in order to move on to harder things.
mm-hmm,
And I would forget easily simple things like what's ionic bonding, what's covalent bonding, and things like that.
mm-hmm,
So obviously, without knowing those like foundations, it was
mm-hmm,
harder for me to understand things like, oh, how do you work out, what acid is needed to neutralize an alkali and things like that. So I'd say that I was actually like pretty much struggling. Even though I was getting like fives and sixes, it was like I was barely scraping those grades.
mm-hmm. And do you feel that you now have covered a lot of those foundations for your chemistry?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a lot more confident in chemistry. I'd probably say it's my strongest science now. It's like,
Mm,
even though we were going through titrations in school and stuff like that, we weren't doing that here. We were covering the things I needed to know first before
mm,
I started doing those things. So doing the both of them also helped me. And I used to struggle with electrolysis as well. And going over
mm,
those common misconceptions has finally like helped me understand it.
mm. Yeah, definitely. And what I like is that, like you say, there are even what you did with your test,
Mm,
some of it we haven't covered,
mm.
but because now you have the key foundation, you can really pull it onto those other units,
Yeah.
and so that's really, really, really helpful. It's really focusing on what you need to know, so it doesn't matter what topic you're doing or what question you get asked, it doesn't throw you off. So that's what I try to do with you guys, really focusing on those keys. I'm glad it's helped you. So what I was going to ask you then is, how do you feel about that improvement that you've made from a grade 5 to a grade 7 in 2 months? How do you feel about that, Adesewa?
It was honestly like a massive like shock. I was confident that I knew stuff for the test, but because I don't usually get grades like that in science, when I got it back, my teacher was also very like, wow, like that's a massive improvement. I was over the moon. I was like gonna cry because it was like that it was like so quick, and it
Yeah,
was like I actually understand chemistry now and I can be confident in my answers and not doubt myself anymore. So I
yeah,
was actually very, very ecstatic.
brilliant. And the good thing is, now that you've got a really good grounding in chemistry, you can then look at, okay, what's the next thing that I need to focus on? Is it physics that I'm not doing well at? Because I know you were saying you're doing biology. And then we can repeat that same process for you with physics. Because many times people think that they might need to do, a short amount of chemistry, a short amount of biology, a short amount of physics,
Yeah.
but we've done it slightly differently to
Mm.
really help you to cover those gaps, and it's really helping. So you're in the group program. What do you like about being in a class with other students who also want to achieve those top grades? What's good about that?
Mm, I like, I don't want to say there's kind of like competition, but kind of like seeing other people there who also want the same grades as me, or seeing other people at the same level of me, prompts me to want to be up there like them, or
Mm-hmm.
prompts me to be able to want to answer questions that other people are answering and
Mm-hmm.
know things that other people know as well. So just having other people, it's not like intimidating, but it's kind of like, should I know this? Should I put my hand up, And I like having the type like people that are going through the same thing as me to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Helps to motivate you.
Yeah, motivation, that's the word.
Sure. And so is there ever any time then, Adesewa, where you feel you come to my lessons and you think, oh, I don't want to answer that question, I'm a bit embarrassed if I'm going to get it wrong, I'm just going to sit down and keep quiet? Do you ever feel like that?
sometimes yes,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it's kind of like, if I get it wrong, I get it wrong, and
Yeah.
then you'll tell me the right answer anyway.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like it's embarrassing if I get it,
Mm-hmm.
wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. And I think one thing that I try to do with everyone is I try as much as possible to show you that you don't have to have the right answer. In fact, having the wrong answer is always better, because then you can remember next time,
Yeah.
because we have, I don't know if you've heard about of this saying, of this quote, and a lot of, successful people, depending on how you want to find people successful, talk about failure as a path to success. So you have to fail. You're not going to get a 7 or 8 or 9 if you're just constantly getting it right all the time. You have to, it's just a natural process to be comfortable with. So I do try as much as possible to get you guys to be comfortable, which is why I kind of choose different people in the class to get them to comfortable. And sometimes they're like, oh no, why are you picking on me? But just to kind of get them to comfortable and and give it a go. And so we give you homework on a weekly basis on the topics we've covered in class. How do you feel that helps you? How do you feel having those weekly homeworks help you?
I like it a lot, because it's like one thing to get homework on the things you've learned, then it's another thing to get exam paper question homeworks on the things you've learned, because then it exposes me to like the format and the mark scheme of how things are gonna be. Because whenever like teachers make their own questions, it's like it's completely different to how the exam board would word it, and it's like I need to know how it would ask me in the test, so I know what I'm doing. So it's a lot better getting exposed to those exam questions every single week.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely there. And it's not just any homework, it's making sure, because as I said to you guys the last time, you don't get tested by coming into the class, you don't get tested by listening to me. It's all a good start, but you get tested on, do I know how to answer exam questions, right? So when you do those homework, which is all about answering exam questions, you start to get more confident, you start to get more confident with them. Okay, so you're now around a grade 7, fantastic. For your triple science, what grade would you like to achieve?
Obviously, aspirationally, I want all 9s, but
Lovely.
if I think like realistically, 8 would be okay for me. I'd really love to get 8.
Okay. Yeah, shoot for the highest, go for 9, and then you'll end up with 8. So absolutely go for 9. And remind me what you're going to do with that again when you get at grade 9. What are your plans after GCSE?
I'm planning to take biology, chemistry, maths, and psychology, a school that will let me pick for, and then hopefully get into medical school.
Fabulous, because you're going to be remind me, I keep forgetting.
A neurosurgeon.
I think it's just so big for me. I'm like, I keep just forgetting neurosurgeon, but yeah, fantastic. Yeah, because you don't have many students who say, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. So it's so different. It's so aspirational. It's so brilliant. So yeah, that's really exciting. That's really great. So considering you've now been with us for about 3 months now, what advice would you give to other students who are not happy with the grades they're at now, but they don't know where to start or what to do? What advice would you give them?
First of all, I'd definitely say do the homework that the teachers give you, especially if it's exam paper questions, because like you said, the only way to be exposed to that practice is to continuously do it. Like it's when you to go to class, sit down and understand it, but it's not to go home and go over it and revise until it gets into your brain. When you do that homework and you get it wrong, I find that the questions I get wrong, I'll force myself to remember, because I remember I got them wrong, so I know the right answer now. And definitely paying attention in class is one thing, and it makes revision a lot easier, and it like drills it into the brain. You remember it. Like you don't have to keep saying to yourself before the exam, oh, this is that. It will just be like at the back of your hand, like something you could just recall like that. And that's what I found quite simple in the exam when my teacher gave it to me.
Yeah, and what you're talking about there is that little and often approach, because what a lot of students do, that, do you know what, I could get away with a little bit many years ago when I did my GCSE, but it's so hard now for you guys because it's the content is so big, right? And a lot of things have even come down from A level. And a lot of students still do that. Oh, okay, I don't know what to do. And then Easter time, panic, try and throw everything in. It's not going to work. So you're talking about that little and often. Start now, do a little bit to the point where everything just, you know, actually goes into your long-term memory, and you're looking at exam papers and you don't have anxiety and you're not thrown off by it. You just, you know, you just do your best. So yeah. And then if a parent or student was considering joining us for tutoring, what would you say to them? What advice would you give them?
This is definitely a very, very good program. I like the format of everything. It's not like we're just sitting there and you're teaching us, you're like getting us involved, asking us questions, asking us to answer certain questions and putting people on the spot. Some people might think it's, you know, like horrible, but it's getting you involved, it's getting you to think about the answer. And I definitely like the homework. It's not just like, oh, questions you made by yourself. It's like, try this exam paper, try how, you know, this is set out. So I would definitely recommend it to different families to try it. And it's definitely a good program. I like it.
Brilliant. Excellent. And do you have anything else to add? Just in terms of inspiring students? You don't have to, anything that jumps to your mind.
Don't think you can't do it, because I used to think that I couldn't do it. And if you're in year 10, I would definitely recommend start revising now, because I always used to push it away like, oh, GCSEs is next year, but now it's literally in about 8 weeks. And I really regret not revising back in year 10. And obviously it's a lot harder now because I'm trying to revise all this content, especially for other subjects like maths and English in 8 weeks, but it definitely is possible. Like put your mind, if you're not getting the grades you want to get now, you can definitely do it. And there's prime examples of people like that. And if you really want it, you will achieve it.
Yeah, definitely. So you talked about the mindset there, really going for it. That's really good. But you've also talked about start now. And I would say that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see. A lot of people, you know, even to me for tutoring, they come like very last minute and they're really panicky and they would need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that. And it's like you can't get everything done in a short amount of time. So like you say, especially when you're in year 10, start now, because year 11 is just a complete game changer, if you like. It's so different, it's so stressful. So you want to start early in year 10 so that by the time you get into year 11, you're not, you know, super stressed. So yeah, that's really good advice. I completely agree. All right, awesome. That is all my questions for you, Adesewa. Thank you very much.